Russian tanks. Russian tanks have been going through a lot of things. There were a couple things. For one thing, there was one tank that I did. I spent like $900, had some professionals do it, 900 gold or something like that. And I actually got a really nice tank. The first Russian tanks were really nice. They were like luxury cars kind of, only they were armored. And they looked pretty good. And they had like some fine silk. The old Russian tanks, like way back, if you go back to 1200 or 900, they're basically like armored trucks with tracks, basically. And they had padded, I mean, you should have seen them, padded yellow velvet sides and yellow velvet tops and carpet on the floor and cushy, comfy seats all in there. And these window glass, and they were armored. Like the old ones, I spent like 160 gold or something. And I made a lot of money, actually, off of the really old Russian tanks. But they were like armored, and they had like an armored floor. And like armored, so you could throw a stick of dynamite under there and go boom, and they would just kind of like come off the ground, and then they would settle down. You know, they wouldn't really do nothing to the actual superstructure. The old I'm talking about like year 300, year 900 tanks, basically with big tracks. And I invented some of them, but basically I'm like this epic tank inventor, by the way. Anyway, and the tracks, and I was working with my people and having my people do it, and they were like velvet. The beautiful velvet cushions on either side, and like I think we might have used like some sort of llama hair carpeting or something like that. It was really expensive, and they sold for like $3,500 a piece or something, or 500 gold a piece. And a couple people bought them. They were pretty nice. They drive around. You know, you could drive around and you'd be safe. You know, people couldn't go because back in the old days, everyone was getting shot. So anyway, so those were really good. And then come future, like 1800 or something like that, some other people want to build a tank, and I say, yeah, okay, build a tank, sure, why not? It's a different team. It's not like the old whatever tanks. I wish we still had some of those around because they were really nice. They're like little boxes. They got burned or something like that. You know, they're like nice little boxes, and they had some riveting or something like that. You know, I think they might have covered in wood or something like that, like had wood sides on them, and they were really nice. And they had like shag carpets, or not shag, but I mean like llama carpets or something like that. And they had like velvet sides, and they had like these big windows with this hardened glass or something like that, or kind of hardened glass. I mean, I think it would slow down a bullet at least. Anyway, rounded windows and stuff, and they look kind of like something from the 60s or something like that. I forget exactly what they look like. Maybe they were small ports. I don't know, but you could see out basically from some of the windows. Anyway, then they had really thick pieces of glass, like little like block glass. I think it was block glass, and you put it up in there, and the thing was when the bullet hit, the glass was dense enough that as it shattered, it was big enough and thick enough that as it shattered, it would push out and it would slow down the bullet as it pushed through or something like that. It wouldn't just shatter through or something like that. Anyway, we did something with that. Anyway, though, we built those, and those were really expensive, and that was way back in time. Anyway, then come like 1800s or so, and this guy wants to build a tank, and we let him build it, and he basically builds a truck with a cannon on it, and basically goes and robs a bank. So he's like driving out of town, and here comes my tanks. And my tanks are going after him because I have like all these modern tanks. So I'm like, get him. You know, it's basically like Car Wars. Like he's like, and I think his truck actually overheats or something. But my tanks get behind him, and then we're just like, and it's like, and like you see the picture. They took a slide of the thing after he did it, and it shows his truck, and it's all blown up and pieces everywhere, and that was him dying basically. They got behind him on the road. Like I said, he was flying away from the thing, and like our shop is just down the street from where the bank was. So I think he had like a 30-minute or a 3-hour head start. Anyway, he was driving really fast, and our tanks caught up to him or something like that. No, actually I forget how it works. Anyway, it was this long road, and there's these trees next to it, and he was driving along, and they said they saw him driving really fast, and they got behind him, and he was like outpacing them. I think we caught up to him or something, like he was sitting somewhere in a house or something like that. And who knows if we actually got all of them or got him, but basically, you know, they got behind him and boom, and shot him, and shot the truck, blew it up. I mean they were right on him right after the bank robbery. I think because he blew the whole front of the bank open, and you know he fired the shell right into the tank right at the vault. I don't even know if he got any money. I forget exactly about the details, but a lot of people, but like 4 or 5 people died, and it was pretty bad. Anyway, I had given them money for the tank, and basically had taken an old truck and converted it and put some armor on it and called it a tank, and then went to rob the bank. It was like, oops. Anyway, though, but my engineers were looking it over, and they're like, he has some pretty, he might have something here. And I was like, oh, you think so? Well, all right, you want to take it over? I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, I'll send some people. Anyway, so some other people went there to check it out and see what he had come up with. And it was like a rudimentary this, rudimentary that. I mean, we had that, and I was like, well, I've already spent so much money on this thing, and he's already destroyed a bunch of people. I was like, put it in the shop, and take it apart, and see if you can do better. I was like, go along the same concept, only see if you can do better. So they, and I'm basically really wealthy anyway, really rich, and I'm like, yeah, I'll put $500 on it, or 500 gold on it, sure, why not? And so, or 150 gold on it, and I'm like, yeah, sure, see what you can come up with, maybe an armored personnel carrier, like a revisit to the olden days of Russia. So they're like, oh, revisit, okay. So they start messing around with it, and they start improving it, and they do some new tweaks to it and kind of like vamp it up a little bit. And I'm like, well, let's see if we can sell some more. I mean, they were good sellers back in the day, so let's go ahead and try and sell it again. And so I think the armored personnel carrier actually came from Russia, because he was basically a truck and a cannon on it. He's got an old Model T here. He like armored a Model T and put a cannon on it, and it wasn't nothing really. like he still had 75. They found 75 gold, so like they left some money with the wife and the girl that they had been with, because we had to kill him after he robbed the bank, and it's kind of too bad, I mean, he wasn't a bad guy. If he had asked for more money, I probably would have given it to him. I don't know what he was thinking. So anyway, but he decided to go that way with it, and so basically. A whole team goes down there, 150 guys or 200 guys, and they start taking it apart and looking at it and seeing if they can do a revisit on the old school stuff. And I'm like, well, let's build them. Why not? Let's put them into production. Build some armored personnel carriers. We got. I always love armored personnel carriers. I mean, I'll be like, you want to build? Oh yeah. Put me down for that. Yeah, sure, no problem. So let's see if we can do that better. So basically, yeah. So they start working on it. They spend like a year or two, and then they come up with something pretty cool. And I'm like, oh yeah, that looks pretty cool. Keep on going. And so they just they do this full time in Russia or something like that for quite a while. Just building this stuff, and they come up with some really good stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And they sell some, and people buy some, and they use them. I mean, our personnel carriers are basically just big trucks with steel on them. So. Anyway, so they're good sellers, and a lot of people use them and stuff, and they buy stuff. Moving. It might even end up being like the Brinks armored truck, because they do a couple different varieties, and I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead, because we got steel up there, so I was like, yeah, go ahead, why not? We'll have to transport the steel, so they start doing their thing up there in Russia, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. And lots of stuff gets built. I mean, I basically own production thing, and then they keep on going, just doing it, just rethinking about what to do and all that. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I own Russian truck armored personnel and tank manufacturer and cannon people, and I own quite a few different companies, and I don't really sell them, and they don't really go out of business because I have too much money. So yeah, so just keep building. I'm like, yeah, keep going. Just keep doing it. I just pay them for like 5, 10, 20 years, and 3 or 4 generations, and they're just doing that stuff. Well, everyone, I'm waiting for all these other projects anyway. So I'm like, well, while you're doing that, I gotta wait, like 5 or 6 years for this other project. So, anyway.